welcome to this episode of Beer to Whiskey, and I'm your host, Russ Heaps. And today, I'm in Austin, Texas. And I'm here because a bunch of my fraternity brothers and I get together once a year and go do something kind of silly and have some fun and tell each other lies. And this year we came to Austin, Texas. So that's where we're coming from, and you can kind of see the skyline and the statue of Stephen Austin right there on the wall. Before we get started here, there are a couple of things we would like you to do. And Rick, what are those things?
We need to go to YouTube. We need to click on the red button at the bottom, or you have an alternative place to click so you can become a subscriber, download, and become a regular viewer. Get your updates on every Thursday at noon. There you go.
That bordered on being pathetic, but that was pretty good for not knowing you're going to have to do it. Wow. Yeah, so the whole point is, if you like it, click like. At the end of the video, you have an opportunity to check out a couple of other videos if you would like, but there's also going to be a round Beer to Whiskey icon there that you can click on to subscribe. And as Rick mentioned, a new video comes out every Thursday at noon, East Coast time, which is like 2 in the morning in Montana where you are. What? I don't know.
It's just a 2-hour difference. Mountain time, Russ, mountain.
Oh, okay. When you go out there, it seems like there's a lot of difference. Let me introduce the guys here. These are all fraternity brothers of mine. We went to Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio. We all belong to the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity. We're Fijis. We graduated in 1973, which I'm sure is famous for something, but I don't know what happened in 1973 because I spent most of that year in college and I don't know what happened there. But anyway, sitting immediately to sitting immediately to my left is Randy Porter. Next to him is Bruce Kirkpatrick. And the far end is Wrangler Rick Fowler. We did this on our outing about a year ago in Montana. We sat down and did a whiskey panel, even though none of us know much about whiskey other than we like it a lot. But we thought it would be fun to repeat that. And in this segment, we asked Ports to bring something along. And what do you have there, Ports?
Well, today I have a bottle of George T. Stagg Jr. This is made by the Buffalo Trace Distillery. It's part of their antique collection, which they only do like once a year. Now there are 2 different Staggs. There's just the George T. Stagg and the George T. Stagg Jr. The George T. Stagg is almost impossible.
Are they related?
Well, yeah, father and son.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
The actual Stagg is almost impossible to find. It's aged 15 years. On the secondary market, I've seen bottles go for $300, $400, $500, $600. It comes out, like I said, it comes out once a year and you can barely find it. I happened to be in Denver. Well, actually, I was in Jackson, Wyoming last June. Went into a liquor store to buy. I'm looking for Weller because I had purchased a bottle of Weller in Jackson last year after I left your house in Montana.
Right.
And it was the Weller 107 antique, and I think I paid $25 for it.
No.
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I should have bought every bottle I had,
Right.
but I bought a bottle and took it home.
But he's cheap, and he didn't.
Yeah, well, I'm just a tight one. I'm living on limited income.
Yeah, poor guy.
So I went back. So we're in Jackson, and I found a liquor store there. Walked in, and they had George T. Stagg Jr. Well, my son had already told me that this stuff was like unbelievably hard to find. So I bought a bottle and shared it with the 3 guys I was on the road with. That's a whole different story. The bottle was gone that night. The one thing I will tell you about this is what's in the nomenclature of bourbons today, this is an overproofed bourbon. It's cask strength. This right here is like 64% alcohol by volume. So it's 125 proof, something along those lines.
I think it's more like 128.
Actually, it's 126.4.
But who's counting?
Yeah, but who's counting? True.
Okay.
So when we left Jackson, we ended up, going back to Denver, and I walked into another liquor store right across the street from where we were staying, and I couldn't believe they had more bottles. So I bought a bottle, my buddy Craig bought a bottle, and this is leftover from.
That's the same bottle?
Well, we drank one bottle one night in Jackson or Casper, wherever it was, and then this bottle has, I've shared this with
He's
my
a little
son.
fuzzy on the whole thing.
Right. You get to be 68 years old and things don't,
I don't think it's the age.
the synapses aren't firing. So anyway, that's how I was fortunate enough to come across this very unique bourbon. On the second, and I was able to buy this for like $65. It's 9 years old.
Wow.
As I said, it's about 64% alcohol level.
You know, the interesting thing is you guys need to move out west because east of the Mississippi, with the population centers and your proximity to Kentucky, things become so difficult to access, particularly if they're really good. So as you know, I'm a Blanton's fan. I can get Blanton's in Montana without any problem. But when you get into things that are very popular, very well done, and of course, Blanton's is a Buffalo Trace, and Weller, and they do so many good things. It's just, the population isn't there, so if they've got the access to the distribution, you can still find some of these things, so.
It's because it snows 8 months of the year in Montana.
So,
I'm just saying.
well, and, if you're drinking that, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's true.
Now, interestingly enough, Buffalo Trace named this after a guy, a true historic figure named George T. Stagg, who ended up going into some type of production business with E.H. Taylor. Supposedly started one of the best distilleries, what they called during the gilded ages of distilleries, and that's why they named it after him. So on the, like I said, this bourbon here, on the nose, you're supposed to get some chocolatey, brown sugary notes. But once you put it on your tongue, I would recommend that you just take a really small little sip and just kind of let the bourbon melt into your mouth, and it'll melt almost like butter.
Like
You
butter.
don't want to take a big swig. You just want to take a little bit and just let it kind of melt onto your tongue.
I can't feel my tongue now.
I was going to say, I think it's taken out a couple of my fillings. So we've had the conversation many times that I'm not really, once something gets over about 90 proof, my enthusiasm sort of goes down for it a little bit. But this really is a nice,
Well,
big proof.
To me,
bourbon.
right now, just by taking a really small sip and let it just kind of melt into your tongue, it doesn't have any burn to it.
Right.
If
You're right about that.
If you take a sip and let it go down your esophagus, it's going to burn like crazy. But just putting a little on the tongue and
So you're supposed to rinse and spit? What are you supposed to do here?
No, I think it's meant just to take small sips, intermittently. Obviously, you don't want to drink the whole 2 ounces in 10 minutes,
Right.
and just let it. You can linger on this for probably 2 hours.
So let me ask you, Ports, are the Staggs like, the comedian Gallagher? There are two Gallaghers, and they hate each other. Do these guys hate each other, do you think?
No, they're father and son.
Okay, well that doesn't, I'm just asking.
No, this is just, like I said, the Stagg itself is 15 years old, this is not. The Stagg,
That's why this is junior.
that's why it's junior, exactly right. This was, like I said, I bought it for $65. The other Stagg, if you want to call it senior, probably going to go in the liquor store for at least over $100. And what happens, as soon as it hits the shelf, people go in there, hoard it, and put it out on eBay and places like that, and sell it for $400, $500, $600 a bottle.
The irony that having this is I had this the week before last. My next door neighbor is a bourbon drinker. He was down in Colorado this summer. His brother-in-law introduced him to Stagg Jr. and he came back with a bottle. So I went over and I'm sitting on his deck and introduced me to this, and I was impressed then, and I'm sufficiently impressed now.
We didn't get invited to that.
No, we didn't. I'm okay with it, but
One of the things that I found interesting when I went on to Buffalo Trace's website, as far as the Stagg Senior, if you want to call it that. It's in the barrel for 15 years. It's cast strength, so they don't cut it. They don't filter it. But after 15 years, they only have around 23% of the bourbon actually left in the barrel. That's how much evaporates over a 15-year period. So,
Well, they're not as heavy then, I'm guessing. There is an upside.
We can get a job in the warehouse.
There is an upside. I don't want to roll it in, but I'll roll it out.
You know, we talked about this last year. That's the amazing thing, is when you're making really high quality things and they're in the warehouse and they move them around the warehouse from, you know, one floor to another, maybe one warehouse to another, and trying to predict the quantity that you're going to end up with and how popular it is 12, 15 years down the road. Like how much do you make? You just, I guess you don't know. And you hope it turns out to be
You just hope you make enough,
right. Well,
and they don't.
Well, then if you don't, your price
Yeah,
point goes up
but
accordingly.
yeah, they don't. They just don't anymore. We don't have enough. We can't get enough.
You can't get it.
Well, I'm not a professional, but I am a gifted amateur. So,
no, I really enjoy this bourbon. This has become one of my favorites. And unfortunately, I may not be able to buy another bottle unless I go back out to Wyoming or someplace, I don't know.
Or Montana. You can come see me.
well, if that's the case, Ports, I really appreciate you bringing this and sharing this, because who knows what's going to happen to it between here and when you leave tomorrow.
It was a gesture of love.
These guys are, you know, kind of jerks, so they probably don't appreciate it, but I do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I would just tell anybody, if you get a chance to buy a bottle, snatch it up and enjoy it. And like I said, small sips, let it melt in your mouth. It's like butter.
Like butter.
Like butter.
Vanna.
Vanna, yeah. Always was our Vanna. Texas Miss Lily. See you next time.